That was a sneaky, sneaky good weekend of college football. Now, if you listen to the show, you already knew it was going to be a really good weekend of college football. You weren't listening to these people every which way that were saying, you can take the weekend off. There's only like one or two really good college football games this weekend. No, no, no. I told you. This is a weekend where people are telling you, you don't have to watch the college football. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. No, 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 no. I told you needed to watch all the games, and I hope you did because boy, oh boy, were there some really, really fun games, some results that maybe we didn't quite expect, that we didn't anticipate that we got. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and subscribe down below, leave a comment. I will respond to you. Follow on the social media at Ian Fritts Show on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We've got a packed show. A lot of talk about on the week six recap. We have game recaps, 3 of them. We have muffins. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. Probably the best thing we do here at the Ian Fritts Show. And then the what if poll, which is my top 25. What if we ranked based on the results on the field? That is what this poll is all about. Without further ado, we have the first game up. It is the Miami Hurricanes at the Florida State Seminoles. Oh, you know it. You heard it last night on the TV. Miami 28, Florida State 22. It wasn't as close as that score is telling you it was. Now we've had several games this year where the score at the end of the game is closer than it was the entire game, and that's going to skew some people's reputations of Miami, Florida State. It happened last week in the Oregon Penn State game where Oregon Penn State went to double overtime. People say, "Oh man, these are probably two pretty evenly matched teams." We know that is a falsity, an untrue statement. And that is probably what's going to happen here. They're going to say, well, Florida State played them close. No, 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 no. This was utter domination from the start to basically the finish. Now, Florida State scored 19 points in the fourth quarter there to slim this down. It was 28-3, folks. It was 28-3. Utter domination. Maybe that's just the cursed score, and that's why Florida State was able to get back into this game. But for the most part, this was utter domination from the Miami Hurricane football team from start to finish. Okay, let's jump right into the Miami Hurricanes. Okay, Carson Beck. This man was surgical from start to finish. Every single throw he made was like, oh, yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. Every decision he made was like, oh, yes, that is how it's supposed to look at this level of college football. And you should expect that from Carson Beck. This is a guy who 2 years ago, at the end of the season, he was playing some really, really good football for the Georgia Bulldogs. They were undefeated. They lost one game in the SEC championship game. They get booted from the college football playoff. Had it been a 12 team, they would have been in. Fast forward to last year, this is a guy who, coming into the season, is touted as the best quarterback in all of college football. He's a Heisman favorite. He's going to be the number 1 overall draft pick come 2025. Sure enough, he doesn't play that well all year. Come to find out, he's had an injury most of the year, and that sidelined him at the end of the year. And sure enough, Georgia was like, hey, we've got to move on from you, Carson, and we've got to go with Gunnar Stockton. Fast forward to right now, to today, he transfers to Miami. He's playing really good football through the first 5 weeks of the season. And then he does what he did last night, which is his form from 2 years ago. The man has gone back to the form that he had 2 years ago, where people were saying he is the best quarterback in all of college football. I believe that Carson Beck has resorted to that talent, that level of play as the quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. They have the best quarterback in all of college football for 2 years in a row. They had Cam Ward last year. What did Cam Ward do? Oh, he won the Heisman. He was the first overall draft pick in the NFL draft. I'm not sure Carson Beck's going to win the Heisman. Not sure he's putting up that high quite of numbers, but the man is going to be the first quarterback drafted in 2026. And if he is not, it is a mistake. This is the best quarterback in college football right now, and I think there are a couple in contention. We're going to have a video coming out this week on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. So stay tuned for that, where I give out my top 10 quarterbacks. And it's going to look a lot different than some people's lists. But I think this is the top 10. I've watched all these guys play football. These are the top 10 guys. Carson Beck is going to be at the top of that list for me based on what he did last night. It was surgical. It was effortless. And he looked in total command of the offense. Now, It is a lot easier to look in total command when you have one of the best offensive lines in all of college football, when you have one of the best running backs in all of college football, when you have one of the best wide receivers in all of college football, Malachi Toney. That guy, freshman. Now, we were saying this last year about Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith. These guys are unbelievable as freshmen. Nobody is ever going to be able to do what they did again, in particular, Jeremiah Smith. Now, probably not again for Malachi Toney. He doesn't have that production yet, but just in terms of pure talent, pure skill in playing the wide receiver position, Malachi Toney is a top 5 guy in college football, and he's 18. You can put him up there with Mekhi Lemon. You can put him up there uh, uh, with Jeremiah Smith, with Ryan Williams. Maybe Ryan Williams is slipping down a little bit this year. You can put him up there with Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. You could put him up there with even Carnell Tate from Ohio State. There are a few guys in that top 5 that are starting to separate themselves from the rest of college football's wide receivers. And Malachi Toney is one of them. You watch him play. He has quickness. He has route running ability. He is sure-handed. He is fast. We're going to get to him a little bit later in the show in one of our segments, teaser, and we'll talk a little bit more about Malachi Toney. But then you even have C.J. Daniels for the Miami Hurricanes, who is a great second option. This guy was at LSU last year, didn't quite live up to what they wanted him to a year ago, so he transfers to Miami, and they bring in all new wide receivers, and he's emerged as their number 2. He's more of a deep vertical threat. He has hands for days. He goes up to the second level, climbs the stairs, and can catch contested footballs. Carson Beck has all the weapons he needs. He has the protection he needs. He has a running back that he can hand the ball to and say, hey, go get me 4 yards. Go get me 5 yards. And he's able to do that. He's able to check the play call at the line of scrimmage. Carson Beck is in command of this Miami Hurricane offense, and people need to watch out. People need to be on high alert because this team is for real. It is for real. We've had him as my number 1 team in the country in the What If poll for, I think, 3 weeks now. Shocker. They're going to stay there going into week 7, not changing that at all. Carson Beck threw 1 ball yesterday. It was to Malachi Toney. Little flea flicker, 50 yards. He couldn't have walked 55 yards down the field to Malachi Toney and placed the ball any better. It was a moon ball. It was right in the breadbasket. It was what you want your quarterback to do, and you see that, and you're like, that was a good football play right there. And Miami continues to make them at every single position. This is, I think, the only team in all of college football, maybe Ohio State. Still not sure about the running back situation there, or the offensive line there as well. But definitely this Miami football team, I think they have NFL talent, NFL players. We look down the road here in 7, 8 years, 5, 6 years maybe, and we look back at this 2025 Miami Hurricane team. I think we're thinking, look at how much talent they had on that roster at every single position. Offensive line, they have guys. Francis Mauigo, most notably. They have NFL quarterback in Carson Beck, NFL running back in Mark Fletcher, NFL wide receivers in Malachi Toney and C.J. Daniels. And then defensive line, Ruben Bain, Mesidor, 2 guys off the edge that are going to play in the NFL. Then the linebacker, cornerback, they brought in all these guys who are talented players, and they're going to be in the NFL in 3-4 years, maybe even next year for some of these guys that are seniors. They have NFL caliber players at every position. It's impossible, not impossible, it is very difficult to beat a team that has that capability, that has those talents at all levels of the team. Exceptional football team down there in Miami. Now, Florida State, a team that doesn't have NFL caliber players at every position. One of those is the quarterback position. Thomas Castellanos, good college quarterback. He is not going to get it done for an NFL team. Now, he was bottled up most of this game. 75% of the game, they had 3 points, okay? Miami's defense was swarming. They were stopping them literally every drive. They could not get anything going. And then part of that is Florida State was setting themselves back with penalties. They were hurting themselves offensively, where they would, false start, a holding, illegal hands to the face. And then sure enough, it's 2nd and 25 versus it was going to be 2nd and 1. Oh, well, now we're screwed. Yes, you are. They were setting themselves back. Most, if not all, possessions, it was just backwards to begin, and then it was impossible to step forward. Okay, the one drive through the first 3 quarters that they even sustained anything and were mistake-free was the scripted first drive of the game, where they settled for a field goal at the 5-yard line. Okay, and in this game, I said, no, you got to go for the touchdown there. I know it's the first drive of the game. You have to go for the touchdown there to make a statement and make Miami go 95 yards the other way to start the game. I thought that was a mistake. Now, Miami, 2 touchdowns off of the Florida State 3 turnovers. That's a big difference in the game. That's 14 points right there. That's a 14-point swing. Florida State couldn't take care of the football. 3 turnovers to no turnovers. That's going to be hard to win a football game when your quarterback has 2 bad interceptions. One of them was really, really poor, just tough from Thomas Castellanos. And we kind of expect, hey, we said coming into this game, what Thomas Castellanos are we going to get? Are we going to get the guy that is in command of the offense, that's running the ball well, efficiently, that Florida State is able to run the ball on this Miami defense so Thomas Castellanos doesn't have to throw the ball 45 times. Sure enough, you have to throw the ball 45 times. That's not a recipe for success with that guy as your quarterback, okay? If you have Carson Beck as your quarterback, sure, yeah, throw it 45 times. But if you have Thomas Castellanos, you don't have Carson Beck. Now, they were in a position to throw the ball 45 times because they were down 28-3. Hard to run the ball with that much time left in the game and get back into the game. And credit to Florida State, they fought. They got back into the game. Still, it's going to lie. People are going to say, oh, maybe Miami still has some issues pulling away from people. They don't. They let up off the gas, probably learned their lesson there. Hey, we need to go pedal to the metal for the entirety of the game. Okay, I still think Florida State's a good football team, just not as good as we thought after week 1. Miami is still legit. Okay, everybody needs to be on the lookout for these Hurricanes coming your way. Next game up. Oh, baby. This is a game I never in a million years thought I was going to be talking about this football game come Sunday afternoon after the Saturday that we had. Never in a million years did I think I was going to say, hey, you know what? Let's recap Penn State at UCLA. And you're thinking, why would you never in a million years talk about the game? Well, Penn State, they were 3-1. UCLA was 0-4, winless. And not even that. UCLA never even held a lead in any game they've played this year until yesterday afternoon in California at the Rose Bowl. 37 Penn State, 42 UCLA. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I cannot remember a result, even a game that played out like this where it was more shocking of a result. The Vanderbilt-Alabama game last year is probably the closest thing to it, but Vanderbilt wasn't as bad as this UCLA team coming into this game. Vanderbilt had some wins. Yeah, they lost to Georgia State. Georgia State's not a bad football team. UCLA hadn't even held a lead in any game they've played. They got blown out by New Mexico State. That's how bad this UCLA football team had been through the first 5 weeks of the season. And they come in here. They have 2 days to prepare offensively because their offensive coordinator leaves. 2 days to prepare. And what do? Oh, I don't know. They just dominate the entirety of that Penn State defense. Nico Iamaleava, incredible performance from him. 17-24, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 rushes for 128 yards, and then another 3 touchdowns. Career high in total touchdowns for him. It was by far his best game ever as a starting quarterback in the college football level. He had a couple nice games last year against some scrubs of teams at Tennessee. This is a good Penn State defense, okay? A good, not as good as we thought, a good Penn State defense. And he just sliced and diced them. The offensive game plan from UCLA was phenomenal. We were going to hit you in the mouth. And we're going to come out early. We're going to onside kick right after we score an opening drive touchdown. We're going to go up 10-0 before you even touch the football, Drew Aller. Before you even touch the football, Drew Aller, we're gonna go up 10-0. 2 scores. 2 scores on you. It was kind of akin to the Syracuse Clemson game from several weeks ago. In terms of how the game started, Clemson was down 2 touchdowns before they even touched the ball offensively. That's exactly how this game started. And that's how UCLA had to start the game to win it. To win it. Never even crossed my mind to put this on the upset alert, on the upset segment in the preview show for the Week 6 preview show. Never even crossed my mind in a million years to talk about Penn State at UCLA. I thought Penn State, hey, this is a bounce back spot after a heartbreaking loss in double overtime. You're going to bounce back and you're going to roll against this sad football team there in Southern California. And sure enough, that is not what we got. Credit to UCLA, one of the best wins, most shocking wins I've ever seen in my time. Okay, Penn State, utter embarrassment. Just utter embarrassment. embarrassment. James Franklin needs to be kicked out, shouldn't even be allowed on the plane. You can't win a big game every time. Okay, yeah, but you always beat these little scrub football teams that you play. No, you can't even beat one of the worst teams in all of Power 4, okay? Now, people are going to say UCLA is not that bad. They are that bad, okay? UCLA probably going to win 3 games tops this year, even though they came out here and punched Penn State in the mouth. This is one of those games where you're thinking, what? What is Penn State doing? And Drew Aller, he didn't even play that bad. Probably one of his better games, if not his best game of this season. Now, it's not, doesn't have to compare it to too much, okay? It's not, his best game is not saying he's done a lot, okay? Now, James Franklin, just excuses after the game happened. He said, oh, we didn't handle the loss very well last week against Oregon. We were kind of sad. It kind of hurt us, hit us in the heart there. We didn't handle it well. Then the travel was difficult. You have a night game there, and then we have a 10 o'clock kick here across the country. So that was difficult. We didn't handle that travel very well. That played a factor into this football game for us. And then at the end of the first half, we didn't manage that well. He tried to explain that away like he was some genius wanting to take a score in the final seconds of the first half. You don't know what I'm talking about. Penn State's down 27-7. Penn State has the ball midfield with 2 minutes left in the first half, and they let the clock run out, and they don't even score. Not even a field goal. It was hard to watch. They had 3 timeouts. Just excruciatingly bad time management. They asked him about it before they went into half, and he said, we were just trying to take it down to the final seconds and get a score going into halftime. You didn't even score. That's priority number 1, James Franklin, when you're down 27-7 against an 0-4 football team. Priority 1 is score the football. Who cares how much time is left on the clock? Score. That's the name of the game. Okay, and they couldn't do that. Just a bad football team. I said it last week after Oregon. This is not a very good football team. Not a very good football team. The score in the Oregon game is going to skew people's thoughts and think, oh, Penn State and Oregon are comparable. No, they are not. Not in a million years, okay? We said it after the game. People didn't want to listen. They were upset with where I had Penn State ranked. They shouldn't be upset with where I don't have them ranked this week. Enough about Penn State. Hopefully don't have to talk about them for quite some time because they're an embarrassment to college football. Next game up. Going to take a break here if you wouldn't mind while I'm taking a sip from this patented mug. Go ahead and drop down below and subscribe. Virginia at Louisville. People doubted me. People doubted the Cavaliers. They doubted the Who's. Not me. Not me. I saw right through this game. Louisville was favored by 7.5 in this game, for those of you that do not know. And I said, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I've watched this Virginia Cavalier football team play. They're hard-fought battles. They've won. They can run the football. They got a solid defense. They're a really good football team. Solid group of football that Tony Elliott has there in Virginia. And now I'm not so sure about this Louisville team. Haven't really played anybody. Have they been tested? No. Sure enough, here's their first test. Didn't go quite well for the Louisville Cardinals. Didn't go quite well. Now, it was a close game. There were some dynamics in this game that probably you play this game out 8 out of 10 times, Louisville probably wins. But we only play it once, and they didn't win. 30-27 in overtime for the Who's. Look, offensively was not great for Virginia. You're looking at the numbers right there. 19-31, 150 yards, a touchdown, and then 32 for 88 on the ground for another touchdown. And you're thinking, how did they score 30 points? How did they get to 30, Ian? How does that math even math? Well, defensively, they had 2 touchdowns. Not 1, but 2 returned for a touchdown. A fumble return for a touchdown in the first quarter, and then they had an interception return for a touchdown in the third quarter. That gets them to 28. Then they had a field goal as well. So defensively, they won the game. Virginia's defense won the game for Virginia on Saturday. Now, that was not the case a week ago. A week ago, it was Chandler Morris in this rushing attack for the Virginia Cavaliers that won the game against Florida State in overtime. This week, it was the defense. The offense was struggling, couldn't really get anything going against this Louisville defense. It's actually a pretty solid unit. So the defense had to step up big time and bend, but not break. They bent. They gave a bunch of yards in the passing game, bunch of yards, but they also had 2 touchdowns. That's going to get you a win most of the time if you return two turnovers for a touchdown. So what does it teach me about Virginia? they can win multiple ways. That's the sign of a pretty good football team. They won in an offensive shootout last week where they were running up and down the field on a Florida State football team, and then they won here in kind of a defensive stand battle that they had to have so that they can win with their offense and they can win with their defense. Virginia has a really good football team, and the loss against NC State to begin the year is not indicative of what this football team has become, okay? People are going to talk about NC State's no good. NC State's bad football team. Yeah, NC State's not great. Virginia has vaulted way past that game, and they only lost by 4 in that game, mind you. They're a much better football team right now than when they were in week 2, that loss against the Wolfpack. Louisville, they're going to want this back. Miller Moss is going to want this back. Isaac Brown is going to want this back. Those are the 2 guys that had the turnovers that turned in for a touchdown. You play this game 8 out of 10 times. Louisville probably wins. That's probably the right side of that minus 7.5. So we picked Virginia. We were right. I told you, watch out for these Who's. Watch out for the Who's. And they showed the Louisville Cardinals, hey, our offense isn't going to get it done. Our defense is. And Miller Moss is going to want it back. He overall had a solid football game. The interception, most people thought he was down. Turns out he was laying on a Virginia Cavalier football player arm, and that was able to get the football out through right to Virginia, return it for a touchdown. It was tough. Now, I said in the preview for this game, again, if you're not tuned into the preview show, be locked in, subscribe, turn the bell on, and you'll get the notifications for the preview shows. I previewed this game, and I said Louisville, they're a balanced football team overall. Offensively, they can put up points. Defensively, they can stop you through 5 weeks of the season. However, you look at the offense, they do struggle running the football. They struggle running the football, and that could hinder them in this game. And Virginia made them completely one-dimensional. 27 for 54 on the ground for 1 touchdown. That is not going to get it done. Just under 2 yards of carry there, or just above 2 yards of carry there for the Cardinals. That was alarm bells going off. Hey, Virginia, if they can make you... If Virginia can make Louisville one-dimensional, sound the alarms. That's going to be hard for Miller Moss to throw the ball 50 times and win this football game. And sure enough, Virginia was able to make them one-dimensional, and they got it done. Now, Louisville, they go on a bye week, and then they go at Miami. Chance to prepare for a big-time football game. Now, Miami, coincidentally, is also on a bye, so take that for what you will here in this transition of weeks 6 and 7 here. Now, next up, muffins. Going to take a sip here before we talk about the muffins. You can see it beside me here. I have a pan of muffins there, and you're thinking, well, who are all those people on there, Ian? Well, here at the Info Show, we give out probably the most prestigious award right up there with the Heisman Trophy, but we give out ours each week. Okay, it's a week-to-week award. Each week, we look at a fan base, a coach, a team as a whole, an individual player, maybe a state as a whole. And in a big-time game, we look at who had a big-time performance to separate themselves in that game, okay? So in week 1, we had Gus Malzahn, offensive coordinator, Florida State. Excellent game plan against Alabama. Then in week 2, Sawyer Robertson threw for about 1 million yards and 1 million touchdowns against SMU in week 2. Then we had Gunnar Stockton in week 3 at Tennessee. Then we had Indiana, the entire state and team and all the players, just an utter domination of the Illinois Fighting Illini in week 4. And then last week, we had Ty Simpson in a great football game from him in week 5, as well as Dante Moore at Penn State. So we had a double certified stud muffin last week. We only have 1 this week. And there were a couple guys I could have gone with. A couple guys I could have gone with Nico. However, I'm not sure that was a big-time game. Okay, so it's got to be a big-time matchup. For him, it was a big-time game. You credit to him, stud muffin. Just not certifying it on this show. We're only going with 1 guy, and that guy is, we alluded to him earlier. It's Malachi Toney, certified. Malachi Toney, you have joined the likes of these elite football players and coaches and fan bases and states here that I have here. Also, history of the award, the first ever certified stud muffin, Cam Ward, all the way back at Washington State. We saw it before a lot of the country saw it with Cam Ward. Okay, Malachi Toney, 7 receptions, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 55-yard catch for a touchdown called back for a block in the back, I believe. So it could have been much more. He is electric. He's baby Tyreek Hill. He looks the exact same, plays the exact same way, kind of the same size, same number, same speed, basically the same skill set. This man is fun to watch. Congratulations to Malachi Toney. You deserve it. Malachi Toney, certified stud muffin of week 6. Next up, the Week 7 What If poll. Now, if you're new here, again, what if we ranked based on the results on the field? That's what this is about. We're jumping right in. At number 25, the Iowa State Cyclones. They suffered their first loss yesterday on the road at Cincinnati. They were getting the doors blown off of them to begin the game. They battled back, had a chance to win the game, tie the game at the end of it, but they did lose, so we got to drop them for that. Right in front of them, the USF Bulls, steady, staying right there at 24. Right in front of them, the Illinois Fighting Illini. They still have that one blemish, just a terrible game at Indiana. So I still can't get that out of my mind, but they continue to win. Memphis Tigers. Memphis undefeated G5. Also, I will mention them right here with Memphis and USF right here as well. North Texas. They're right on the precipice of the top 25, so they're right behind Iowa State. I would have them very close to the top 25. Big time game with North Texas and USF this week on a Friday night. At number 21, LSU Tigers had a bye week. Hopefully they can get healthy offensively. Defense is still pretty good, so we'll see what the Tigers can present in the coming weeks. At number 20, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Okay, yes, they have the 2 losses, combined 4 points to 2 top 10 teams, so not super worried about that at all. In fact, 2 top 3 teams you'll see here in a minute. At number 19, Arizona State Sun Devils. Okay, they have the 1 loss, but I still like what they have to offer. At number 18, Cincinnati Bearcats. I think this is my second highest Big 12 team in my rankings. They can move dudes offensively. They can move dudes off the ball. Now, Brendan Sorsby, he's going to have to hit on some of those deep balls that were just running wide open, and he overthrew about 5 of them. So it could have been a complete bloodbath against Iowa State. Vanderbilt, have him at number 17. Second half was bad. You're going to want that back if you're Diego Pavia. They had a chance to go up 14-0, and then the turnover in the first half kind of killed all that momentum. I still like what they have to offer. Still like that football team. At number 16, the Michigan Wolverines. Bryce Underwood looked a little better throwing the football yesterday. Still need to work on it, but I believe they have a true number 1 in Donovan McCulley at the wide receiver position. Just throw him the football. Number 15, the Virginia Cavaliers. Some people think this is going to be too high because of their loss at NC State beginning the year. Not me. I see what this team has, and I like what they have to offer. At number 14, the BYU Cougars. Bear Bachmeier, true freshman quarterback. And you're thinking, who? Yeah, probably because you haven't watched him. I've watched him. He's a really good football player, really fun to watch. Also, he wears, I believe, number 47. So, maybe I should have BYU higher based on what they've done on the field. But I can't really do that because he wears number 47. So I should probably drop them further for that. Number 13, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Bye week, didn't see him. Haven't moved at all. Tennessee at number 12. Still really the only 1 loss to Georgia there in overtime. Georgia right in front of them. Alabama right in front of them. At number 9, Missouri. Missouri and Alabama play this week in Missouri, 11 a.m. kick. We will have it on the Week 7 preview show. Stay tuned for that this week on the channel. Number 8, Oklahoma Sooners. I dropped them from, I think I had them at 5 going into this week. Again, we saw what they had to offer with Michael Hawkins Jr. Don't love what I saw. Gonna have to drop them for that. I still think that defense is keeping them in the top 10. Number 7, Indiana Hoosiers. Bye week. Haven't moved. Ole Miss at number 5. And then at number 4, Texas Tech Red Raiders. I have number 6 blank for a reason. I wanted to talk about Texas Tech and Ole Miss for a second, mainly Texas Tech. This team is the real deal. Defensively, they have guys at every position that are going to make plays. They turn the ball over. Now, a lot of people think turnovers are random. You look historically, a lot of teams that are really, really good defensively and that turn the ball over a lot, they just continue to do it all year. Oklahoma last year just turned the ball over a lot, okay, defensively and offensively. Texas Tech is doing the exact same thing. They are getting a lot of turnovers in pretty much every single game. Love what they have to offer. Ole Miss, one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. Again, stay tuned on the social media for my top 10 quarterback rankings. Maybe we'll have a Texas Tech quarterback and an Ole Miss quarterback. Who knows? At number 6, though, we have the Oregon Ducks. Look, I had them at 3 last week. I dropped them, not because of what they did. They didn't play, but because of what I saw from the team that they beat, their vaunted win, who is nowhere near to be found on my rankings, as they should be, dropped from them. I have to drop them because I thought maybe Penn State was a little better than what they showed against UCLA, but no. Hey, Gonna have to drop Oregon for who they beat. At number 3, Texas A&M Aggies. Number 2, Ohio State. And then number 1, it's Miami, and it should be Miami. I think it should be Miami, Ohio State, and then I think there's a considerable gap in the rest of the country right now. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. That is the entirety of the show. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe down below, leave a comment. I will get back to you. I love you guys. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
25, 40, 45, 50, 45. There